I don't care that we have like 12 subscribers. I also don't care that we literally have like 39 views on the first video we posted like 2 weeks ago. We will not quit. Why? Not half bad, huh? Because that is so anticlimactic. America! And what up? All right, so today we've got the O2 Impreza out back and we're gonna be doing an oil change and spark plugs. It's all gonna be a part of the updating process to this car, bringing it back to life. To drain the oil, you're gonna need a 17 millimeter, and you're also going to need a oil filter wrench. So we're gonna go ahead and drop all the oil. We've already got the dipstick pulled and the oil cap taken. We will not quit. Trick is not doing this. Well, bam. So one of the little tricks you guys can do to kind of clean that whole oil way, put the oil down, some new oil down the oil fill neck while the drain plug is out. So that way it just cycles new oil through, kind of cleans it out, purges, if you will. All right, so we've got the oil drained, and now we're gonna go ahead and change the oil filter. Now this one was actually put on correctly, so we didn't have to use the oil filter pliers. It just kind of came off by hand. So I'm gonna have the parts number for the oil filter if you're changing one on this car, right up on the screen somewhere around here. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and jump under there and replace that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and pull off this nasty filter now that it's leaking everywhere. Ooh, we're gonna need to catch that. It's going. Oh, baby.
Pro tip from the camera guy, wear a glove.
Nah, it's all right.
What up?
Eh. I'm gonna give it a paper towel. All right, we're gonna put that new oil filter on. And before we put that on, we're just gonna take some of the old oil and just kind of lubricate the seal on there so that way it sits on there better. Find out if this actually fits in there. Look at that. I guess I don't know how to word it. We're on. So now we can go ahead and put that drain bolt back up inside here. And don't drop it inside the oil pan. I've done that before and that is not fun to find. Where's my wrench? This you don't want to tighten too crazy, but there we go. New oil filters in, drain plugs back in, we can go ahead and fill it up with oil. All right, so this car specifically calls for 5W30 in 4.8 quarts. So we've got 4.8 quarts, well, 5 quarts of our Riley's 5W30. So we're gonna go ahead and fill this up. Baby. Now, because this one calls for 4.8 quarts, I'm just gonna kind of fill it until this bottle is almost empty, and we'll go ahead and check the dipstick and see where that's sitting. Oh. Oh. Hey. Yeah, we're full. Out of here. Put our oil cap back on. And just like that, in the words of the Saturn video, you can now change your own oil. So on the 2002 Subaru, this 2.5 specifically calls for around 20,000 miles to change the spark plugs. I have no idea when these have been replaced, so we are gonna go ahead and do that today. On the Boxer engine, it is a little different than typical engines, so if you wanna come in here a little bit, your spark plugs are coming in at a straight 90 almost into the side of the engine. over here. We've got, here, I guess we'll point them out. We got one here, one right behind. The other ones that are gonna be a little harder to get to are gonna be down here. And the other one's back there. So we're gonna have to take apart a couple things. My goal here is to try and make it the easiest as possible to get to with removing the least amount of parts. So hopefully we can kind of get to that. So to get to this side, specifically, we're gonna be removing the air system. So we're gonna get rid of a lot of this hosing, along with whatever this giant box is. This is all built really quality. Yeah, so we're gonna pull all that out. So we are going to grab a 12 millimeter first. We're gonna pull out this bottom attachment for this box, which is just down here. Set that aside. We're gonna switch out our 12 for a 10. I'm gonna grab this guy right here. All right. Because this is all so well put together, this should just, that's cute. I believe would be another 10. Absolutely not. That is tiny. Nope, just kidding. Get another 10 millimeter. I'm not sure if this disconnects up here anywhere. Yep. But it's all connected up here. So what we're gonna do with this is probably just set it out of the way. Actually, we don't need to. Yeah, we're just gonna have that loose. This should come out. All right, so camera guy says this has gotta move so you guys can see it. So this is just an intake down to nothing, so. All right, here's our 2 spark plug boots. Hopefully nothing rips here. Always wanna be careful when you're pulling these, because if they haven't been replaced in a long time, there's always a chance of ripping them. And if they rip, they get stuck inside, so. All right, so camera guy's at his finest, definitely just knocked down one of our bolts for our air system. So we're making him fish it out.
The best part was, it was a 10 millimeter.
All right, so now that we got the boots removed, we're gonna go ahead and pull the spark plugs. I've got my extension with my, I believe is a 5/8. We're gonna go ahead and put that down inside of there. Grab the spark plug. I'm really interested to see how these actually work. Well, they're already coming out 10 times better than the Prius. Look at that, not covered in oil. That's always a solid, ooh, these are old. Check that out, so. Here's our old one, here's our new one. Looking a lot better. Same exact ones too. NGKs. So most likely these probably were replaced unless Subaru really did stock put NGKs in, which I kind of doubt it. One's got a little oil on it. So the valve covers haven't been replaced. All right, so this is all personal preference. I specifically like to put anti-seize not too much on the threads of my spark plugs, so when it comes to the next time taking them out, they're not stuck in there. Make sure you really are careful about putting these in so they don't cross thread. So a little trick I said in one of the old videos, start going backwards with it and then start stacking it. Make sure you're not cross threading and you're going into those threads perfect. Just gonna hand tighten it for the most part. Just give it a little tighten with the ratchet. Again, with your spark plugs, they don't need to be 90 foot-pounds of torque, but just to the point where it stops. plugs are in. And just because we've got it from an old video, somewhere, we take our handy little boot grease, which we're gonna end up taking all this apart again because in a video down the road we are gonna replace the wires and the coil pack. I just don't have that with me right now, so. All right, so we got the one side all put back together. Now getting onto this side, we're gonna have to move a couple different things. So we're gonna trial and error a little bit. I know for sure we're gonna have to get rid of the battery. I'm hoping that just by that we can kind of get the right angles in there, but I'm kind of looking that we're gonna need to remove our windshield washer fluid reservoir. And if that's the case, we're gonna walk you guys through that. Otherwise, we're just gonna kind of speed through this and hopefully get this side done quick. Not dumpable. I mean, we don't have to get this. We will not quit! We're just gonna dump this outside real quick. All right, so we're removing the windshield washer fluid reservoir simply because there's just not enough room to get our extension down in that last cylinder. All it takes is a 10mm socket to pull those two bolts on the top, and it should hang freely with a bungee cord from the hood. This process does not require you to move any hoses or remove any wires. Once you've got that out of the way, you can pull those last spark plugs, and then we're just gonna follow the same order that we did on the other side. A little bit of anti-seize on the threads of the new spark plugs. Clean up those boots nice. Get those put back in place. There, we're gonna put the reservoir back in place with those two bolts. Once that's put in place, then we can put our battery back in and attach our battery. Of course, with a little bit of duct tape for extra stability. And then we are good to go. We just finished an oil change and spark plugs on the Subaru. We also did an air filter, which we didn't feel the need to throw that in there, but we changed that as well. Hopefully next week we're gonna get into the rear drum brakes. Oh yeah, check out our Instagram and our Rumble. They should be right up here somewhere.